Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Crucible. I am Lumi, your host, once again joined by Chaka and T-Van. I keep saying that wrong. Don't worry, I'll get it eventually.
You got it. You got it.
I know, but I tried to say it the wrong way. I really did. So just a quick recap. We did just watch Friendship Team versus someone, 1 HP, and they are on their last HP as they have yet to secure their win to get them to play-ins. They lost that map on Club 4-7. So, kind of looking at what we're up to now, we are going to be watching QoR Gaming versus Shreds. So, T-Van, QoR has lost to Outlast again in OT. They cannot close out a game in regulation, and to secure a playoff spot, they need to win tonight. Can you tell us some more?
Well, if you're lacking in a solidification, you gotta bring on some new talent. And what new talent do we got? It's Brios. I mean, we saw him earlier, obviously. Couldn't close out the game. But, another dawn, another day. Brios roster now with QoR. I mean, these lads, I feel like, are always very consistent and very solid. They never get that strike up to take those maps like you're talking about. They never can close it out, but they have consistent strategy. And I think that a roster like this is going to be able to dismantle a roster like Shreds that hasn't really been able to prove themselves compared to a roster like Outlast.
Yeah, we will have to see how this new player can further impact the team, and hopefully they can get a win tonight. However, in order to fully gauge if they can, we have to take a look at their opponents. So Chaka, Shreds has recently also made a roster change. They got rid of Unpeaked and picked up Glowmoji. They are also currently last in their group, and they also need a win to get to play-ins. So, what else can you tell us?
The last time that I casted this team was, I think, last week. They played up against Washington Wizards, which, if you don't know them, they are the XCL4L team that didn't get to play in Element 4 due to reasons. And so for Shreds, I remember in that game, their attacks were, extremely slow. And sometimes they just seemed like they didn't really have, an idea of how they wanted to clear the map. With their info, they weren't really properly falling behind the drones, and so that caused them to be extremely slow in their attacks. And I think on their defense, they just left up massive gaps. So I think going up against the QoR, both are pretty slow teams, but we'll see how adding more experience in Glowmoji, who has been in Element playoffs before, for at least the recent Element 4. I don't think he was when he played in Element 3. But adding that experience into this team will probably clean up the comms a little bit and probably transport them into a team like Bands Coast, who added Rice for more experience and better comms in their team.
Yeah, I think that adding a new player, kind of like what QoR is doing, can spice things up a little bit. Sometimes it's just that last puzzle piece you need to complete the full picture. However, both of these teams are fighting for a spot in play-ins, and we can only have one victor tonight. So let us figure out where this battle will take place. T-Van, tell us what you see with these map bans.
Well, I'm always going to be sad when there's a Glowmoji roster and we're not playing on Border, so that being the first ban is a little bit sad to see. But I mean the staple bands of Consulate, Labs, Cafe being brought out, but Ank is actually a pretty surprising pick for me. And it's interesting that Shred is willing to go into Bank rather than Clubhouse. I feel like if you're facing a roster like QoR, you don't really want to be facing a very large scale map like Bank, where you have to have a lot of due diligence to clear all 3 floors. Kind of like a similar version of Cafe, but you know what? I don't have to cast 2 games of Clubhouse, so I'm actually pretty happy for Bank.
Yeah, taking a look at these map bans further, Chaka, is there anything else that you can kind of add about how Bank is played differently than some of these other maps?
Yeah, I mean, to touch on what T-Van said, it's a bigger map than most in the Crucible, not counting Lair, because nobody ever really plays that map in Crucible. It's not been played a single time, and I wouldn't be surprised if we don't have it a single time this season either. But touching a little bit more on Bank, I'm actually surprised for QoR that this is a map that they play into, probably underestimating Shreds a little bit, because they are the worst team in Group B, despite that close result that they had against Team Cruelty, who look like maybe one of the best teams, probably the best team in Crucible. And so this is probably for QoR, this is a map that they don't prefer quite a bit. This is probably a map that they're trying to fit into their new map pool because they brought in Brios, who is a new player for this team. Has been training with them for a couple of weeks, so they probably scrimmed this map a couple of times. So I'm gonna be excited to see how this map goes for QoR, especially because they are starting off on that defense first.
Yeah, I think that Bank, I mean, like every map in this game, is fairly defender-sided. T-Vent, so we were looking at how both of these teams have new rosters, or at least slightly different rosters. How do you think that will impact the gameplay that we see tonight? Do we think that either of these teams is going to make any massive switches, or do you think it's more of like a fitting into place kind of swap?
To be honest, I feel like the only massive change we're really going to be seeing is potentially a new look for Shreds. I feel like what we're going to see from QoR is going to be decently similar. Brios is a player that can kind of bring very similar vibes to what his replacement was, and kind of a little bit more stability, like Chaka was mentioning earlier. Shreds, I feel like Lowmoji might just be a little bit of a spark for a wildfire team that they can be, maybe more feisty and can bring a little bit more just play. Whereas I feel like QoR is just going to maintain to their slow, methodical play, and having a really solid, experienced voice like Brios to lead them along the way is just going to make them a little bit more consistent.
Gotcha. So, kind of taking a look more at Shreds, Chaka, you mentioned that you've casted them before. Could you tell us a little bit about their typical play style, if they like to play slow and methodical, or if they're more aggressive?
To play slow.
Yeah.
They like to play slow. Oh my god, especially on them attacks, man. It's so slow. It was on Consulate, and I remember like their roam clears were just like really slow. Like they play with a lot of info, but like there's like almost no movement behind it. So that's the one thing that I'm hoping to look forward to when it comes to this game against QoR. Now that they're playing on Bank, for Consulate, it's probably just as big as Bank, if I'm being completely honest, if you don't count like the cutthroat corners that you have on Consulate, especially around like just everywhere, from the third to the basement floor, or the second to the basement floor. So I'm hoping to look forward to them just speeding things up a little bit, because if QoR, with the way that they like to play around a lot of stalls. So Shreds need to be wary of that and look forward to speeding up their attacks a little bit.
Yeah, so T-Vent, kind of going off of how we just learned how Shreds like to play, do you think that QoR is going to be a good matchup for them? Maybe kind of matching slow with slow? Or do you think that QoR will try and take advantage of that?
I think QoR is just going to take advantage of it. I think that they're just going to dismantle how slow they are, and I think they're just going to get a lot of free picks and probably win this game pretty fast.
All right, well, we'll have to see how this matchup goes, as both fates are facing off to our spot in play-ins. We are going to we're going to get started with this game, and we will see you right after.
Thank you so much, Lumi, and oh my god, we're already in game. Holy Chaka, what a life it is to have a host with us. Like, it feels easy. I feel like my hand is being held, and life is just so much more blissful. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it does make going through like the pre-show a little bit quicker, or a little bit smoother, because you actually have questions and a direction to follow in, compared to it just being the both of us and we have to figure out our own talking points.
We're just like, yeah, Beg's cool.
Yeah, Beg's cool.
It's really cool. Anyway, speaking of Beg, Chaka, you take it away. You got it.
No, I mean, got Dokkaebi and Monty banned first. I think for Bank, this makes a lot of sense. Last time we had Maverick banned, but that was Clubhouse. Maverick is specifically like tailored to Clubhouse, so I think like removing him made a lot of sense of that map. And for Dokkaebi, this is a big map where you need a lot of info, especially if you aren't on the attack, in order to help you effectively roam clear. So removing Dokkaebi off the board makes a lot of sense for me, but Shreds are the ones who banned it, and they're the ones who are starting off on the attack. So they'll have effectively less information to deal with when it comes to the roam clear.
And we're going to be seeing QoR take us to the basement. Again, it's Bank, so we're going to be seeing the basement. Something that you kind of touched on a little bit in the pre-show and just barely, is the information game of Bank. I know there are some rosters that like to bring Zero on this map, especially attacking things like the first floor or the second floor to just get some information. There's some crazy lineups you can do on Zero on this map, by the way, and like that's, I feel like that's like the Valorant side of me. Like my brain itches a little bit when I see like top 5 Zero lineups for Bank, and I'm like, okay, and then I become a Zero main and I do nothing. But I'm curious to see if either team starts to opt for that. But like you said, the defenders have a lot of space to hold, especially in the basement, and so we're going to be seeing some of those trap operators be able to play that space, right? We're seeing the Ella to play the extension, but also get some information from the grommet mines, and then Fenrir, obviously, for those F-Knots as well, that I do like to see pad a kind of composition like this.
Yeah, and it's going to be the full roam here from QoR to, like, really play into the time waste, because that's again what I talked about with Shreds at the beginning, is that they waste a lot of time in a roam clear, especially when it comes with this drone. Now that you have Glomoji on his team, he'll probably urge the team to be a lot quicker. He's playing on the Ash specifically, and he already has a drone ahead of him, and he's following behind it. This is improvement.
Wow. I mean, yeah, you have to take up that space, but there's the grommet mine to expose the information of him. Yeah, I mean, they already feel like they're picking up that pace, that tempo that you were talking about before, not wasting as much time. And now that they know that because of the grommet mine, the Ella is somewhere towards top floor. It's actually the new member of Rios. The Death Mark is going to be isolating him, and a beautiful opening frag assisted by both the members of NBA Young John and Glomoji. So that's second floor taken care of, and now they have to find the first.
Yeah, and again, that's the pace that I was talking about. At least having someone follow off of the drone and off of that information and play immediately behind it. Not only do you have the drone upstairs that the Ash is following behind, but you also have the Deimos mark. So now that they've fully cleared off the roam, there's no hatch now here from QoR Gaming. Shreds can just open up the hatches and get set up for a server or a CCTV execute like people usually do when they're attacking on the open area side of the map. And you can tell that they're attacking here because not only are they opening up the hatches and they're setting up by server, but they're also just droning it fully just to get a good idea of what the setup looks like.
We have a couple flashes to play with as well for from the Hibana. There goes a couple of those Goyo canisters to play against that plant that you're talking about before, the CC plant, that pretty default plant. But they do have a couple smoke grenades to play with still in Rio, playing from lockers. There's a lineup you can do from lockers as well that I've seen, but it's actually a couple frags to open it up. Moses being taken down, but Candle is able to quickly trade that. Still on the back foot for game. Still have to find a little bit of time to spare, as they're going to blow up that last Goyo canister around CC. Rival's still aware that they could be flanked from Vault, or maybe from main, but Shreds isn't really showing any sort of space there. But they do maybe have an inkling of this player going towards Garage. Candle finds the elbow, but does he know? It's going to be a shot towards Young Romeo, and some damage traded. Permanent just yet. Candle needs to get this kill and return back to his teammates as the rest of the site is being flooded. But Young Romeo is actually just playing with the time and playing with his one player to isolate Rival, to have to take up the space by himself. Glomoji's gonna rip his head off. Candle is still fighting the demon of Garage, but just cannot get his kill to happen. He needs to rush back to site, 35 seconds remaining, and has to fight against Regret and of Glomoji, but it's Young Romeo, the demon around his voices, to take him down finally. And QoR is going to be on the back foot already, 0-1.
So not only do we see improvement in Shred's overall opening time when it comes to them getting that opening pick and actually playing off of the information almost immediately, the execution was also pretty well organized from them. Originally, I got really scared because there was like no back push, you're running into smoke grenades, the Goyo canisters are still being detonated, but they're not only applying pressure through Garage to kill the Garage player and actually just distract them from the server take that Shreds are doing, which you have an angle from loading docks, or Garage as it's called, onto that default plant, but then they also killed the smoke, so you no longer have any plant denial. You have to cross into these long angles that Shreds are holding. It was a really nice execution set up from the moment that they got that opening pick to the moment that they were setting themselves up for the plant towards the end.
I would have loved to see how Inrio died. I wonder if it was a rush into red, or maybe just a clean shot from an entry through the door, because that is a vital kill. Usually you're hiding behind that desk and lockers to prevent your head being taken off so that you can still play that late round smoke. But I mean, a mistake for QoR Gaming to maybe learn from, hopefully, but like you said, a completely different look from Shreds that we've seen thus far. This time, though, Glowmoji on the IQ instead of the Ash. Probably still going to be that tip of the spear for them, but a little bit less of that impact fragging of the R4C. But, you know, I know a lot of IQ players that just play IQ for the Commando, so probably going to be a similar look for him.
And it seems like they're going with the same idea. This time, Glowmoji's on a different operator, so good prep drones from Shreds to figure out that there is a Valkyrie on the board here from QoR Gaming. And instead of opting to bring in the Ash like they did last time for faster entry, they bring in another 3-speed operator to spot out these Valkyrie cameras. He's having trouble shooting one, but at the moment there is no full roamer up on the top floor, but Quack does sneak his way into Archives, finding the very first pick onto arrival, and that removes the Valkyrie off of the board along with the Nitro Cell.
And he took that space pretty early in the round last time. I mean, we were watching Brios being taken out in the second floor, but Quack was able to get that first floor entry immediately as well and was contesting the Azami that was contesting up there. So QoR now, once again, I mean, on the back foot, this time down a member of the Valkyrie, like you said, and no verticality pressure at all. Glowmoji, though, already into blue, already in server, trying to get that camera, the bulletproof, out of A. Finds the F0 as well. But it's that phantom pressure. Already, they have a minute 30 remaining to play the verticality and start to get set up a little bit more.
One thing I'm afraid of is I don't think they've cleared any of the Goyo utility inside of sight. Okay, now they've cleared it down, so that's really good for them to start applying, doing that process. But that takes about like 20 seconds for both of those canisters to immediately dissipate. So now you're gonna have to wait on the Goyo canisters to dissipate, and then you're waiting on the smoke grenades like they had to do last time. So hopefully they can find a kill into the smoke like they did last time, whether that was by luck or just by somebody just dropping down a hatch and taking one for the team as they immediately got traded out. We'll see from Shreds, but looks like they're applying themselves on main stairs like they did last time. Again, to just give them an extra option, an extra bit of pressure, and specifically to apply pressure to the smoke player.
But this time, I was about to say, Candle is still in garage and being uncontested, but it's actually Red Blue going to be taking him down. So it's all a verticality game, 3-4. Glowmoji's going to take some damage from that smoke bomb. The Adrenaline Surge isn't going to help that as it does do that double damage. The Death Mark going down to Inrio to isolate that smoke player, but Moses is there to cover this time. NBA Young Romeo, excuse me, going to be taken down as well. So finally, QoR on the up foot this time. Quack is going to be found. It's two isolated members of Shreds. Glowmoji, man that's been taking up so much space. The new replacement for Shreds is desperately trying to find an angle, but it's Brios. A beautiful swing after a failed Nitro to take him down and secure their basement round.
And again, like, Shreds do a very good job of entering in earlier. That's something that they did improve on from their last game against the Washington Wizards. But they're pretty slow when it comes to setting up for the execution, and that gives time for the smoke to be a lot more powerful, and the Goyo too. And they try and do the same strategy that they did last time by dropping the Deimos down the red hatch to kill the smoke player. I guess that is how Inrio died, was he just took one for the team before immediately getting traded out. Instead of just again, QoR giving up that pick and then trading the Deimos out after, you still have to smoke up towards the end of that round by protecting the drop as it happens before the Deimos could actually get the kill, so the smoke still stays up. Shreds are basically just stuck on that server execute that they were trying to do, and QoR just adjusted the very next round.
Yeah, huge adjustment. I mean, as much as we keep saying it, that smoke delaying Glowmoji to pinch with Quack, to play pinch towards Red, I mean, absolutely won the round. That was the linchpin for QoR. Keeping in real life. Operation keeping real alive, I guess, is in effect for the basement holds, but we're probably not going to see basement for quite a while, as we are going to go into second floor this time. QoR going to be showing off a decently similar comp with Melusi here, which I love to see. I feel like Melusi should be higher prio in my opinion, but no, I'm a play-by-play, so what am I saying? That's though gonna having the striker to play around as well with Glowmoji back on that IQ, and Glowmoji is actually finding Brios immediately the first floor extension and ripping him down.
Usually the castle plays around checkers, I believe, so that's like a crucial kill that he got. Probably got it from the lobby windows. And I mean, that just gives you something to worry about. And it looks like QoR, with the way that they're playing, there is nobody first floor, by the way, so there's nobody watching for this back push. And Shreds make the main advantage worse for QoR Gaming by Romeo finding Enrio. I believe that was the player inside of Janitor Closet. And, you know, QoR just slowly losing control of this round.
And Janitor is still in possession from Moses, but they don't really have any sort of opportunity to fight back against these double window players. They have Janitor to fight from, but they can just lay down fire. Andal still playing from 90, still contesting square a little bit, but Shreds has a lot of information, but Rival actually takes the emoji. So no longer is there any presence inside of the site. It's all from the windows. Shreds have to find a way to get back into the building, start putting pressure on these members and flushing them out, rather than playing these mailbox positions that we're seeing already. And it's going to be Young John, going to be that tip of the spear, but his supports are being taken down from various angles. Moses is ripped away from Janitor, but there's still the shield from Candle to deal with. Young John has to deal with the soft wall from Square as well. Romeo is still pretty far away, still playing, was playing the window. Has to take the time to rotate with the 55 seconds remaining. No more adrenaline surge, and there's Candle from the hallway, leaving the shield and making the play himself. Romeo, the mailbox player, now has to make some magic happen. Investigating from Square and finds the head of Candle. Rival now conference potentially has a site set up, an angle set up. Actually, just gonna be through the soft wall. Some red pings onto Romeo, gives some information. He has the advantage. I don't think Romeo has an idea of where Rival is, but he's actually snuck in. He finds the gun barrel. Plant going down, has the audio of it. Sneak through the rotation, finds the head hole, and try to punish the plant. A couple bullets, but Romeo's gonna get re-aggressed and going to be finding the head of Rival. A beautiful little walk down and say good night and welcome to Shred's debut.
Again, Shred started the round off really well with the opening kill through Glowmoji. And basically, like, after that, I think the main issue there, Shreds had, like, a lot of issues with clearing some of the utility around the site. I mean, they had, like, a bunch of nades, but there were, like, Kiba barriers still up, castle barricades, the shield in Soda, or in the Janitor Hall, for example, still up. So it made it very hard for Shreds to be able to, I guess, walk down QoR Gaming. And so at the end of the day, they did give up a lot of ones, but they still found themselves like getting a lot of like isolated kills in the process. And I mean, you have this like experienced shot calling in the favor of Glowmoji, who can like lead your team to like really good strengths. And so for Shreds, I mean, they were just, I guess, led really well in that round in order to find like isolated kills into QoR, who were left in isolated positions, despite finding themselves in a 3v3 and finding like isolated kills against Shreds.
5 seconds to insertion.
Or now taking themselves to a first floor site. They'll be playing the open area, which is going to allow them to extend themselves a little bit further. Brios is where my eyes are on the vigil. Boss G in hand. Can he find those opening picks? We've seen him be the opening pick previously. Hasn't really had a lot of impact so far on Bank. He actually is taking the K1A instead of the Boss G, which is interesting. I mean, most Vigil players just like Vigil because of the Boss G. I mean, you know, back in 1.5 meta, I guess K1A was pretty solid. But let's see what Magic Work says. He is that second floor extension. He has some support from Candle as well, but that's going to be the contact that I find, especially with Romy on the ramp. Probably going to be playing from stock and pressuring the second floor from there.
So they didn't fully get open the elevator wall or the cancel wall open. They did find other ways of getting like this wall open on the first floor that the Habana is staring directly at, so that gives you more cutoff positions to work with. That's the main reason why the Habana is here in the first place. As the rest of Shreds are applying pressure to the second floor roam, some players have dropped off from the second floor entirely, actually all of them. There's nobody here for QoR Gaming in the meantime, so for Shreds, they can set up vertical angles above archives and tellers and use that in order to flush some of these players out as they work some pressure from lobby.
That pressure is already going to be exuded, as Glowmoji, I believe, is already starting to play from ATMs. And in lobby, going to take a little bit of damage. So I believe Rival was that player that spotted him out in lobby. We're finding some information there, but the other side is going to be contested by Young John, as we see on our screens. Young Romeo is going to be supporting that as well. Going to get those Rams and Boogie Drones out, and like you said, just setting up those verticality game.
Scanning for electronic devices. Located
Also
above.
looking for extra utility, such as the Valkyrie cameras, just so that QoR have less info to work with. That's something that they like to do, is play around a lot of information. So, I mean, Glomoji gives up on the lobby take, but somebody else is there in the meantime while he applies pressure in for Marvel, just droning it out. So right now, I mean, Shreds have slowed themselves down a little bit. They haven't found an opening, but they might find one through the exterior pressure that they got through vertical and these exterior pressures.
Well, we're seeing that slow gameplay that you're hinting at from Shreds, but it's finally going to start getting some gas in the tank, as Inrio is going to be the first blood. It's Glomoji finding that pressure and Quack from lobby, like you're hinting at, getting a kill towards Archives and Desk. Glomoji's going to extend that aggression from Heat 1, but slowing it down a little bit. He still knows that there's Candle from bottom main stairs, but it's actually Moses stuck in kitchen all alone, but it's Rio's going to be regressing, but now he's left all alone fighting 4 members. But Quack has already been in the desks. He's already been doing some work at his 9 to 5, and part of his 9 to 5, hunting down vigils and isolating them, taking them down. Shreds absolutely hub stomping QoR so far.
Yeah, and I mean, again, the one thing that I really liked about that round was the fact that Shreds, like, utilized the verticality play. Yes, they were a little bit slow, but I mean, I guess they had a reason for it, because they were going for a 3-2-1 execute onto the player inside of. Not only did they apply vertical pressure on him, but they also had somebody pushing in from main and Marble stairs. There was like almost like no crossfire setups from QoR to protect one another. There was a player on the Marble, but I don't really think he was of much help, probably because he was being pressured by Glomoji. And so QoR really found themselves like being in isolated gunfights that Shreds just easily won from there. And I mean, again, they just utilized the vertical pressures so well in that round just to clear out Archives and Tellers. And once you lose control of Archives and Tellers on an open area defense, you're gonna have such a hard time holding the site just from inside of it, because it's just too much. It's just too much to hold against like the horizontal control that the attack has against you, plus the vertical that they also have against you too.
QoR taking a timeout. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of teams that forget that timeouts exist, and so I'm glad that QoR is not one of them. They definitely need that time to figure out this game plan on their defense. They just feel really discombobulated. They just don't really feel like they're playing as a team and doing anything proactive. They're kind of just playing, setting up default, playing default, and giving up space. Sure, they're wasting time, but they're not really getting anything from it. So as they go into the basement once again, hopefully they come up with something a little bit more proactive, something a little bit more to what I would have expected from this stack. Sure, they're a slower playing team, but also playing slow requires you to get some things in the process and force the other team to play at your own tempo. So far, QoR just hasn't shown that.
5 seconds
Yeah,
left.
they just had like a really big issue with like playing off of each other, if I'm being completely honest. I feel like most of the gunfights that I see are QoR players just getting like easily isolated and then just losing the gunfights. Probably, again, underestimating Shreds, thinking that these players cannot win their gunfights. I mean, that's not exactly true, because Romeo's 4-1. Glomoji, I mean, new addition, he wasn't on the team originally, is 5-2. Quack is 4-3. I think Quack is Jam, by the way. I could be wrong about that. But, like, yeah, you have players who can shoot back on this team. And I think also with the way that Shreds have been playing off of each other, they're also, like, just playing really well for trades. So they're effectively punching out these isolated players like they might do against this second floor player.
You have the information on Candle. Candle swings out. Gonna confirm that information, but it's gonna flood back down. We see a little intel under their little scoreboard. He's gonna fall all the way back down to the main first floor. But NBA Young John can drone out to see where he flooded back to. Eventually, Candle goes all the way down to the basement, hoping to play bait for a rival who's gonna be spotted out and drop down the hatch as well. So all that vertical gameplay that we were potentially seeing from QoR already immediately gone. Shreds is going to confirm that as well with the death mark onto rival's head. And so they got all of first floor in verticality, with the only punishment being one death mark and a little bit of time.
also getting rid of some of the utility. I did hear a nade and fire, so that tells me that one of the Goyo canisters has detonated at this point. And you know what? To be fair, Shreds have really only gone for this server attack, so there's gonna be a lot of Goyos over there. It's just about QoR being in the right position to set the Goyo canisters that Shreds can't exactly reach right now. I mean, they still have garage control, but we've seen before that Shreds are very knowledgeable about this, and they've rotated someone to garage before to distract the garage player or just outright kill them, like they're doing right now.
Quack with that aggression, like you're saying, and he finds the F-not, but hand. Oh my God! Candle finds his head. What a beautiful shot there. I mean, Quack, maybe not knowing that Candle was always there, every basement. Death Daxes and Candle in the basement, or in the garage, excuse me. Frag's now going towards the server hit. Gonna be trying to get a couple more of those utilities, the bulletproof camera that's always there, and a couple more Goyos as they waste more time. In Rio, though, as we've talked about before, in Rio's the president. The smoke grenades need to stay alive. And last time we were spectating the Deimos, he didn't have a mark on him. They don't have the ping on him, so getting death marks. But instead, it's Glowmoji tapping the diffuser, forcing out that smoke bomb. That's one of 3. A couple more allowed to be used. Bonus from the hatch. Throwing some flashbangs, forcing a little bit of pressure. Glowmoji taking a little bit more damage, and is actually going to be taken down from Brios' aggression. Romeo going through, but eating an F-not, and Candle's going to start picking away at them as well. Young John now an E1, dropping down and trying to piece something together, but with 0 time remaining, he's just going to pick up a free frag, but take the loss of a round. For Gaming, converting the timeout and finding a win on the round.
I mean, we talked about like how a couple of rounds ago, like, it didn't really feel like QoR was adjusting much to what Shreds were doing. Shreds have gone for that server execute so many times at this point. Like, again, you just stack up the Goyo canisters there. You know that Deimos is going to be dropping down Red Hatch, so you can just protect it. And Shreds are very afraid to do that in the first place, so they don't drop down Red Hatch that time to deal with the smoke and take one for the team and go for a 1-for-1 trade, because QoR are going to be watching it, and you're for sure not going to get anything but death. And so they try and rotate somebody to lobby, but you have the Fenrir mine there to like protect that movement, and Hibana can't effectively see anything, so there's really no value to be found from that position. So I think what Shreds could have done, since time was getting low in the first place, you still have the smoke up, and you know that you can't fully deal with the smoke. Why not then just go for a lobby execute, like one person down main or more players, and another person just dropping down the lobby hatch or something like that. Something that's a little bit different and that QoR might not be expecting. But there was also just too much utility to deal with. Shreds didn't have any utility of their own to like counter it.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I was kind of memeing on QoR a little bit of they're playing verticality and they just kind of run away as soon as any sort of danger was there, they immediately fall off and play their life and play just playing in the bunker. And I mean, that man advantage and just having the manpower to maintain those power positions of the basement is obviously working. And like you said, Shreds is not doing anything to punish QoR. Their utility was to isolate some of those roamers and kill them. And if those roamers stay alive, then effectively those players are useless. This time though, they are going to be going to the second floor again. Previously, QoR has been struggling and actually took to the first floor, but in Rio with a jump out and finding 2 on the rappel of double window, trying to save his life, has the wall hacked from himself.
Nah,
but
come on.
I mean, it's just gonna be an eventuality. He was gonna play with him a little bit with that Gila barrier, but young John to roam over and get that trade. But still, those are some huge frags for QoR Gaming.
I think that's the first opening kill that QoR has gotten, like, in the whole entire game, by the way. So yeah, 2 for 1. You both get the Sledge and the Sophia, so you remove nades off the board, plus the impacts that could be used for the castle barricades and those concussive mines that can help you with the window swing, and specifically when you launch them towards Janitor. So yeah, that's a lot of utility off the board. Yes, you get rid of the Azami, but for the attack, you just lose so much compared to the defense. And Diffuser's all the way outside too, so it looks like there's nobody from Shreds who's going to retrieve it at the moment. Everybody's inside of the map, apart from John, who's like over here by the terrace. So already this just seems like the round is probably lost by this point.
don't have any more utility to flush out this this hallway player, the stocks player of Candle. I mean, that's a huge power position. No Ash charge to play with it, no frags. It's just a couple flashes from QoR that can maybe help support a flood on that player if maybe John wants to go in through stock, but he does have to beat a Malusi trap. That slow, the wub wub is gonna maybe make that pinch a little bit difficult. 45 seconds remaining, and Shreds doesn't really feel like they have a solution. It's going to be a brute force through square, but I guess the only solution is to bait Candle out of his own shield and get that kill. Flash is going to Janitor, but it's Moses with the sunglasses to block those. Red pings from, I believe, the square default to give away some information and give Moses a little bit of an advantage for this swing that's eventually going to happen. It's Quack on that opening. And it's going to be a beautiful headshot from Moses. A free fire. SMG-12 out now to continue the aggression, but Young John is going to walk him down and get the double kill. 10 seconds remaining, though, and they need to get into sight. Glowmoji he's in CEO, and he's going to plant the diffuser. Rival and Brios doesn't have an idea. Rival is fighting Ghost as he's trying to find Young John, but he's in CEO with his teammate. You walk him down. He doesn't see the head through the soft wall. He eventually does. Finds Glowmoji. Young John stuck in the corner, able to get out, and it's going to be an interesting shot from him to get Brios, but Rival is there with the head holes of the site. Get that beautiful swing and trade, and QoR Gaming is going to even it up. And I'm getting deja vu, Chaka, of a 3-3 half.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Well, it is a 3-3 half, so your deja vu was correct. That teehee, really nice. I will say, though, like, again, I thought, like, at first I was afraid for QoR Gaming, but then I saw like the post plant for Shreds, and it didn't really seem like they had like a good way out. I mean, you can't jump out of the windows because you don't have any info over by Janitor or the hallway, so you don't know if somebody's immediately taking into sight, for example, so they just don't go for the jump out. Ash is just already in a really tough position when the two QoR players left alive are working together to not only swing you from square, but somebody's also working up a flank through the executive lounge. So, yeah, I mean, good teamwork in the end there from QoR. Yeah, the only thing that made me really scared, though, for QoR was the fact that Candle, I mean, he just swung out of hallway for no reason, and that freed up an opportunity for Shreds to isolate the player in Janitor.
Yeah, that kind of concerned me as well. Maybe he thought that he had a timing on top square if they're going for a hard... I don't know. I don't know, but I feel like that's a power position that you kind of just want to hold.
With the
and, like, play... Yeah, I mean, you know... who knows? But hey, you know what? Another day, another dollar, and we're going into the second half of QoR Gaming this time, able to give us maybe a little bit of a different take of bank attacks as they are bringing out a Blackbeard Sens comp, which I'm really excited for because we're not going to be seeing the same server hit as we've been seeing with Shreds. We're going to be coming with some different ideas here, Chaka.
Yeah, and I mean, the Sens is in a pretty good spot right now because, I mean, obviously the Sens... you can now pick when or when you can't have the smoke screen up. There's also no way of seeing past the smoke screens anymore, even if you do equip the Warden. And there's no Warden here for Shreds anyway. So these projectors from Sins are gonna find a lot of value if they can get near the site because it is a full room that they're gonna have to clear up top. And QoR are pretty notorious for being quite a slow team on their room clears as well as Shreds. So we'll see how that goes for them when it comes to their overall pace. What the hell?
It's also going to be interesting to see how fast the Shreds falls off the Rum game. We're seeing Quack immediately taken away from second floor, but he's actually finding Rival from lobby through the window. Inrio, though, has a drone and is going to re-aggress from ATMs. Also knows that there's somebody towards E. Rios, though, is helping clear that as well. So it's going to be a pinch potentially towards Quack. He's fallen back to Teller, so he's got a little space to play with. A lot of first floor presence from Shreds. Brios is going to clear out Quack eventually. Glowmoji is going to be found as well from Candle. And so this roam game from Shreds is a little bit different from QoR because they're going to make these fights happen. And it's going to happen even further with Reclu being found by Brios. So now it's a 4v2. The basement is going to be pretty much wide open. Sure, they have to find these laser gates, and sure, they have to find the F-Knots, but the manpower and the gun advantage is not going to be that heavy. QoR Gaming still has the Blackbeard to play around, as well as a full set of utility from their hard breachers. And this should just be easy as cake for them.
no like denial as well for the defense. So when it comes to like stopping the plant or stopping any site take, they're gonna have to depend on their guns, and that requires them to get aggressive against the Blackbeard, which again, they have no utility to counter this guy. They have no explosive, nothing. This is gonna be really messy for Shreds.
Well, the X pellets from Hibana are going to be coming out, breaking up in those drones. They're going to drone out Romeo. It's going to be a Young John duo once again, playing 2v4. Playing towards the hatch aggression, going to be taking a lot of damage, but none received from the attacking side. A regression from Square Stairs, that's Candle to open up that round. Young John, though, from gold, going to be finding potentially the head of Rios, but isn't able to get it. He actually gets a shoulder, I believe, with the DMR, so he's forced far away from side, all the way towards red. And they get all of the sight to themselves. 7 seconds remaining, but with the bomb plant down, Shreds is actually the one facing that time. Handle finally taken away. Still, this post plant is going to be devious for them to fight. The verticality, the Blackbeard still being fought well. A grenade is going to slow him down. Potentially, another one being thrown out, and Brios is able to fish him back into his sight. Get the closing frag, and QoR is showing off a little bit of a feistier fight on the attack.
And again, like the one thing that I really do want to highlight for at least Shreds' sake is the fact that they did get the opening pick. Let's not get it twisted. Something that they've been very good at in this game has been getting the opening pick. There was only one round where QoR got it, and they're still leading. I think it was just them trying to fight back for the main count to be even. There were many instances where Shreds tried to go for a trade. There was Lomoji on Marble who got shut down from a player on the cut, which I think was Candle on the Ash on top Marble, cutting him down as he tried to rotate up Marble to at least find the kill back for Shreds. There was a player in open area who challenged down the hallway against the Blackbeard and got smoked almost immediately. So I think that the ability to figure out like when do we need to drop back to site and just play site and play for our lives is just something maybe Shreds do need to figure out. And I also want to give them the benefit of the doubt because they didn't really, so that's probably why they did that in the first place.
QoR Gaming now having to switch their comp a little bit. They're not able to use the Sens this time, as we didn't get to see last time, as Shreds takes us to the second floor. Some extension towards the first floor, and it's NBA Young John on the Echo to get an easy opening frag. It's a jump out, and Inrio is going to clean it up. He says, hey, you're not me, buddy. You don't get 2 kills, you only get 1. Inrio rocking the 0 this time, so maybe we're going to have to be able to learn from him and see what the Argus lineups are from him. Hey guys, welcome to the Argus lineup here on Bank. But it's actually a lineup of Brios finding a beautiful lineup of a headshot towards Quack on the cut of Archives, and QoR is just going to absolutely dismantle the defense of Shreds already, finding themselves in a big advantage and taking over second floor.
Oh wow, there's also no shield in hallway, so they could probably take this for free with the Blackbeard. And again, like there's nothing to really counter the Blackbeard save for like the Goyo canisters, because Echo's dead. There's no Echo drones to like side swipe the shield and help somebody like swing onto him. So now again, Shreds are in a very weird position where they're again trying to hunt for trades. They can't find them, and so now they're in a 4v3 with the Blackbeard still up.
Yeah, look at them. They're all enclosed into their sight, like fish in the barrel, potentially. Brios allowing his team to start taking away some of their utility as well. The Flores drone's still going through, and they also have they have full capped out utility as well to be able to flush out these power positions and just take over sight. Like you said, no hallway outside stock, so they just get that for free as well, and it's just they're just forced to play the cover of sight. And to be honest, this site isn't really that easy to defend by itself. You need those power positions of Janitor and stock, and with fire bolts and smoke bolts going through and a Blackbeard sprinting at you, it's gonna be very difficult to hold on.
And you still have this Capital utility, at least has been used for the meantime. It doesn't really seem like QoR are able to progress inside of sight. They do find a kill through the not the Goyo, but the Capital firebolts. That was the player that was to their tight left on that window repellent. So they just cleared the only player that's in sight, and now they can apply pressure to this Janitor player if like Blackbeard will walk in, but he does have protection in front of him.
Yeah, and Reclu is going to be going aggressive onto the Blackbeard, and it's going to meet his end. It's now to that Janitor player. He's throwing Pokeballs, but it's Candle, the support player, to take him down and say, bro, what are you doing? That's a Blackbeard, not a Monty. This isn't like a patch from 6 months ago. This is now. Wake up, old man. Play Blackbeard. And that's exactly why. QoR dominating on the attack so far, and Shreds doesn't seem to have an idea of how to deal with Brios on this Blackbeard.
And I'm gonna be completely honest, I don't think most teams know how to deal with the Blackbeard nowadays. I think every time there is a Blackbeard on a board, unless the Blackbeard is like just not good with shields whatsoever, you're gonna find immense difficulty playing against one. And so I think that's the case here for Shreds. They brought the Echo out that time, but the Echo died early. I mean, Goyo was still available, but they're not in really good positions to the Goyos, and they didn't really have Goyos in positions where the Blackbeard was pushing anyways. There was like no Goyo canisters in the janitor hallway right next to square where the Blackbeard was, for example. So like again, there's not really no opportunities to counter the Blackbeard with any of the utility that Shreds have. And they're just gonna keep forcing the Blackbeard. Why not? You keep finding like really good value off of it. It's the main reason why these rounds are being won. Blackbeard is in a very powerful spot. Great job, Ubisoft, for introducing this operator to us. Like I'm so serious. I cannot stand this operator, dude.
I mean, like, yeah, you saw it in all chat as well. Shreds was like, man, it takes no skill. And sure, we can debate all we want about shield meta, but like, if you're gonna complain about it and not use it, like,
yeah, they didn't use it.
To me, I'm like, hey, I come from League of Legends. Like, if something's OP, you just gotta accept it. Like, it just happens, unfortunately. And you also gotta find a solution, or else you're gonna lay down and lose. And Shreds already, like we said before, doesn't have a win under their belt just yet in Group B. They need to fight back. They need to find a solution to get this BB down. It looks like their solution is taking a Capcan and the Legion mines to help out with the Goyos. But they have Candle on the IQ to be able to find those mines and support Brios on his continued assault with Blackbeard.
Just taking space really quickly. Drones ahead of him as well. There's a player on the main hallway, so they should be expecting this. The best way to play around the Blackbeard is at least to hold some crossfires. They've also brought in the service of the Capcan along with the Legion mines in order to slow down a Blackbeard and put him in an even worse spot HP wise. So it's something that QoR have to look out for. Explosives as well has been used, so that takes some damage away from Brios and makes him just slightly weaker.
I believe that was another impact from Guac. Shreds still loving those impact throws. You know what? I mean, might as well. Try to do anything, just throw them off. Try to get any sort of damage, because that might actually be an effect. See Shreds still trying to keep Garage under control, but the real pressure is going to be down their marble, down their main and into servers. Valkyrie drone of open is going to be found as well, so it's going to be that vertical gameplay that we've seen so many times, and Brios is going to take Glowmoji out of the field. You just have to find Reklu and Romeo, though, on this extension. Reklu might have a beautiful timing, and he does! He finds Brios! They have no idea he's here! He finds Rival as well! Romeo on the support to take down Moses! There's one more member of Candle, and he rips him away! 1v4 now. Shreds finally finding some sort of space in defending half. It's all up to Inrio to try to piece anything together for QoR.
I just don't understand. I think before that, like, Reklu was like 1-7. He got a 3K, now he's 3-7. Romeo goes for an aggressive play on top blue, but immediately gets smoked. And while Inrio does find one, he doesn't find many more than that. It's Shreds to find another round on the board. At that time, they just found a way to deal with the Blackbeard. I mean, there's nobody by square, there's no info by square, and there's a flank in staff room with the Blackbeard unattended behind him. So they just have like no idea, and Brios just good. That's one way to deal with it. It's just by capitalizing off of a lack of information there from QoR when it comes to their flanks.
He broke through the wall to make a rotate into staff, and
Man,
Reklu was trying to lurk into the double door, and he was like, wait, why did you just break through that? Like, you can see the confusion in his game. Like, he turns around and was like, what?
I'm confused.
Like, both of them were like, wait, you're here? Wait, I'm here. Wait, what? What
Do you
a
know
crazy
that?
I mean,
I was gonna say, do you know that like one quote from like, I think it's like Euphoria, where I think it's Cal and whoever else is talking. Oh, it was Angus's Cal character, and he's like, "You're confused? I'm confused." Like, that's what that felt like to me.
yeah. I mean, 10 seconds remaining. And it's hard to like compliment Shreds for that round win, because like I mean, Reklu took that timing and really dominated with it, obviously, and took the timing well, but also, like, again, like you said, that's kind of just a mistake from QoR. And so, as much as it's Shred's win, I feel like that's more of just QoR's loss, and it just is a teaching of them of like, oh yeah, guys, we gotta do our droning better. Anyway, let's just win out from here, which I'm assuming is gonna happen as Shreds are back to the second floor defending, and this time they don't have any more traps except for a single Frost, no more Goyos, no more Legions, no more Capkins, and Brios once again is bringing the Blackbeard.
Don't fix what's not broken, because to be fair, like, again, the Blackbeard is not what lost in the last round. It's them not having any presence by Square or any drones. Also, nobody in the tellers or archives. I forgot to mention that too. So, like, almost no eyes on their flanks. So, yeah, they just got smoked. And now you have presence down below. This is something that teams have decided to do more recently on the bank. On the attack is utilized below pressure in order to clear out the janitor player. So I really like this from Reklu, spotting this out early, and also just giving him opportunity to go for an open area flank or a square flank.
Well, speaking of flanks, I believe Romeo tried to hop out and was swatted down immediately by Rival. But that flank of Reklu once again could be advantageous. He won the last round because of it. And he might be able to find Brios once again. And there goes the shots. It's actually Young John from Janitor to take him down with his paints down. So 3-4 now for QoR Gaming. An uphill battle for them to start recovering and get to match point. Shreds is finally pushing back, getting some solutions and avenues for themselves. Capitao still has a lot of utility, and that's the only utility that they have. The Gon 6 going out, but that's going to reveal himself, and Young John is going to rip him down right where he took down Brios. It's deja vu for those QoR members, and now Rival and Inrio split away from each other. One playing towards Lobby and the other towards Stocks, both towards money, but isolated from each other. Rival fighting demons, one on each side, and it's QoR to find the beautiful frag. And yeah, Reklu still on that first floor alert, just dismantling them, isolating them one by one by one by one, and QoR had no solution for it.
And that's kind of like the key part about that round is not only did they have a flank down below to deal with the Blackbeard, which I think is just like their overall win condition with playing up against it, but they're also just finding like QoR in very isolated positions. I mean, the top square player died. There's almost like no pressure elsewhere around the map. Like, despite like stock being open, for example, they could have like had somebody maybe jump in and then apply pressure to the castle, just walking up Janitor Hall and killing the square player. There's almost like no like movement from QoR in that round inside of the map. They just kind of like held angles and sat there, and then QoR and Shreds just came to them and just killed all of them for just standing. Like, just didn't do anything. So we'll see what happens in the very next round. QoR and Shreds both have an opportunity to go up to match point, but only one of them can do it. And momentum has been swinging both ways, so I'm not too sure who's gonna get what.
5 seconds remaining.
Yeah, I feel like this is also what led Shreds to their attacking success, as well as now their defensive success, is kind of isolating and playing these split kills on QoR, dismantling them a little bit and playing like poking and prodding at them rather than playing a pretty detailed and almost default attack or defense. As they start to make it a little bit scrappier, force QoR to kind of be confused about what, you know, bringing the tempo to them, right? We've been talking about how QoR has been a little bit of a slower team, and the times that Shreds have sped up and going past and punishing the slow play nature of QoR, they haven't really been able to keep up. And so if Shreds continues to play that style, I don't think that they're going to be able to find a solution like we are seeing now. But so far, Shreds is slowing down a little bit, flying more towards those traps of open area, and potentially just finding Frost with, you know, just chilling outside of CC.
Has no utility playing around that shield. No mute, no Jaeger, no Wamai. So I mean that gives QoR a good opportunity to just send some like quick util down that way, whether it's a quick frag grenade like what Brios is doing right now to clear the shield, that'll force some movement, and that's exactly what happens. Quack has to rotate off the shield, goes into Janitor, and gets cut off by Brios because of it.
I mean, it's just a open season, I guess, for Brios, playing the mailbox position and ripping him down The only other player that's playing towards second floor that could have been supporting QoR is Glowmoji, but he's all the way near elevators. So Brios now, with some support of the Gritties going down, able to start taking some space, and he's going to find one towards Archives. It's Romeo. F not going to make him a little bit blind, but is going to be against the aggression as Rival is pushing through with the death mark on Romeo, sprinting in and playing off the space that Brios is showing. He's going to take some damage from his feet from Young John, but Reckless ripping away Candle. He was playing, I believe, towards second floor, but Brios with a frag taking down Romeo. That Fenrir, Glowmoji is ripped away, as well as Inrio and Moses start to play off of the aggression, and Reklu, that member that was isolating and lurking up to second floor, is found by Deimos, and as he hunts him down with the revolver, QoR finds another round.
And that was just like really easy for QoR. All it took was a nade to the janitor hallway shield, and then they just walked down square for free after killing the Frost. They didn't walk into Tellers for free. They killed the Archives player. There's like zero presence really anywhere else for Shreds, and they just get cut off the moment that they try to rotate. Yeah, they did get a kill back upstairs, but that ultimately didn't amount to anything. In QoR Gaming, they find themselves on match point after again utilizing the Blackbeard quite effectively to take space in the map against Shreds, who really had like no answer to it.
Well, we're facing the final round of regulation, and we're going to be seeing once again another Blackbeard, and QoR Gaming was potentially going to show us a little bit more of that Send strat, but it's actually changing up to maybe that an Osa strat that I mean is decently popular of that CCTV take. But usually it's paired with a Thermite, so I'm curious to see what they do with an Ace. But one other thing I wanted to highlight, Chuck, and potentially get your thoughts on is the Scopos for QoR. This potentially really extended roam that we haven't seen Shreds really be successful with on the basement holes.
Yeah, there are a couple of teams in Crucible. I say a couple. The only one that I know of actually is Team Cruelty, who like to utilize the Scopos on bigger maps like Bank or Lair in order to, like you said, go for extensive roam games. You can leave the robot, the extra robot, and like a place around the map, one usually on site and the other far off of it, so that you can rotate between offsite, on site, and offsite play, maybe to go for a roam. Or a roam, but also a flank. And that's kind of like, I guess, the idea for Shreds is that they like to go for flanks. It's a way to play against the Blackbeard. That's something that's been quite effective against QoR in the last 2 rounds that Shreds run in a row. So, yeah, something that they might be utilizing against the Blackbeard here for QoR.
I will say one thing that has been really effective for QoR, though, is being able to isolate these members and pick them away. And that's going to be the first member of Shreds taken away. The Garage player, Shreds, is going to be on the back foot once again. And there goes Glowmoji. It's no longer a roam clear. It's actually just a direct hit. While Inrio is actually assaulting the Scopos into main. That roamer is being left alone, as Gold Vault is going to be the only standing position for Shreds to hold on to for the rest of the site. Blackbeard is still a problem, as well as Osa. Rios, though, is going to be finding Quack, but Romeo with the late lurk is going to be that knife in the back. One more Lion scan to try to find where Romeo is, but it's Rival and Candle playing together. They have the information, a shot from the foot, but it's Candle, the Osa, going to be taking him down, and what they were facing overtime, they're actually going to rip it away from Shreds. QoR Gaming with a 7-5 victory on Bank, and they're going to be fighting for play-ins in Group B.
Just like 1 HP, Shreds have to fight for that play-ins position. It's not over for them yet. They still have 2 playdays left here in the Crucible. But for QoR Gaming, an excellent showcase on the attack, especially when utilizing the Blackbeard, whereas Shreds could not really find a consistent answer against it. Yes, they did go for flanks. Yes, they did bring more traps. But again, like it felt like QoR just found other avenues to attack in that really the utility just didn't make a difference because they just attacked where the utility wasn't.
And I also feel like we're feeling the lack of experience from Shreds. Sure, they had a couple game plans that were successful, but QoR Gaming just had a deeper pocket to play through, and they had the composure to play through as well. Unfortunately for us, Chaka, we're able to break it down with somebody to maybe make us ramble a little bit less, as we're going to throw it to Lumi and have us break it down with her.
Well, first of all, I want to say congratulations to QoR for winning a game in regulation. Kind of what you were mentioning earlier. We have seen a lot of overtimes from them, and this is their first game that didn't, go to overtime. So congrats to them for that. I do want to take a quick look at these rosters, right? So at the 3-3 half, Rival is the one who got a triple kill to win that half for QoR. Seeing a 3-3 half, Chaka is Bank is pretty defender-sided, as most of the game is, right? So I wanted to pick your brain a little bit about why Shreds, who started attack, had such a successful attacking half, bringing that to 3-3, and why they struggled so much on their defense.
It's a good question. I think for their attacks, there were quite a bit of times where they did catch QoR off guard, but for QoR, they are known for adjusting the very next round, especially if they see a team do the same thing. And I think while a 3-3 half on a Bank is quite successful, especially if you do start off on the attack, I think Bank can be pretty balanced. So 3-3 is pretty decent for them, but I also thought that they kept doing things that were repeatable, and QoR just adjusted to it. Like, the Bank server executes. They never really opted to go for anything else, and it kept running into like a lot of late round utility that QoR just kept throwing to them. And I think for their defenses, again, it was like the adjustments for like playing against the Blackbeard were quite late. They brought like Capkin, they brought in Legion, but it didn't really feel like the utility was doing much of anything, probably because like QoR just found a way to play like around it. Like, they just attacked into places where the utility wasn't, or they just like simply like shut out the Capcans, shut out the Legions. We saw them do that a couple of times, and so the utility just never really found like a consistent answer against QoR. It was just mainly the flanks, but those were called out pretty well by QoR in the end.
Yeah, I feel like the utility has been definitely a common theme in the recent seasons of R6. However, at the end of the day, it is still a shooter game. You do still need to be hitting those shots. And someone who was hitting their shots today was Rios. I really hope I pronounced that correctly. T-Van, this was QoR's new pickup, right? We saw a little bit of him yesterday. He played with them a while ago for a little bit. But he was on Blackbeard for like the entire attack, and I wanted to pick your brain a little bit about what his impact to QoR's performance was today.
Yeah, I mean, his defensive half was hit or miss. He had some great rounds, but also there's just a lot of rounds where he was playing extended and fell back and was just another gun to play. But yeah, I would like to point out the Blackbeard rounds were absolutely his rounds. I mean, Brios, even on Aerial Arise, always kind of brought the fight to whoever he was facing on that roster. And Blackbeard, I mean, I knew that it was going to be a problem as soon as Shred started to all chat and complain about it, because I knew Brios was just going to keep picking it. Because if it's not going to be punished, if it's not going to be even attempted to be punished, you're just going to keep playing it. If it keeps working, then keep going for it, right? And so Brios was able to take a lot of space and get a lot of punishments against Shreds, who had no idea what to do about it. He was able to get a lot of really dramatic frags that would lead them to a lot of those attacking rounds.
Yeah, I think overall this was a very good performance from both teams tonight. Obviously, QoR was able to pull it out. I am excited to see how Shreds will continue to evolve with their new pickup, and hopefully they're able to win that game that will get them the spot in play-ins. We are going to be taking a quick break here, and this is unfortunately the last that you guys will see of Chaka and T-Van tonight, so wish them a happy night. We will miss you guys, but I will be right back with some new casters after this short break.